Hi guys, welcome back to Living Our American Dream. Today's video is going to be about butchering a deer. There's several ways that we butcher our deer. First of all, we do our own. We don't take our deer to a processor. My oldest son, Michael, was able to get a small deer on the youth hunt a couple weeks ago. And we do a seasoning process where we keep the deer in a cooler at 38 degrees for 10 to 14 days before we do anything. So we gut the deer in the field, which that's already been done. And we basically take it over to the cooler and we let it sit with the hide on for, like I said, 10 to 14 days at 38 degrees and let that meat start to cure a little bit. Take some of the gaminess out of it, and it gives you really good flavor. My brother happens to have a pole barn with a walk-in cooler just for such seasoning. So now you can see behind me, we threw on the trailer behind the Jeep and we went and got the deer, and now we've got it in the shop. Let me show you where we're at. Michael here is just getting started. So what we do, I'm gonna come around the other side, Mike. What he's got going is he made a slice up the inside of this leg and then went around the leg, okay? Now he's working his way down, kind of towards, I guess what you'd call the hip of the animal. He's gonna skin this thing down, and basically we'll lift the deer up a little ways, but he'll take and end up rolling this hide all the way back to the front, and then we'll work our way around the front arms, front legs, and then we'll get the hide completely off the deer, and then we'll go ahead and start taking the meat off. So many years ago, I bought a meat grinder. So we grind a lot of stuff into hamburger meat. I've never gotten into making the sausages or any of that stuff, but definitely could be used for that also. But I think quite important is however you plan on processing your meat, have a plan, have a nice pre-planned method. Keep the meat clean throughout the whole process. So we've cleaned down this whole area, got all the dust out of here. This is a shop, so I try to make sure that all the dust is vacuumed up off the tables, the floor, so we're not walking around kicking dust up. And we usually use this whole table area to set up to do our meat processing. That way, any other projects that we have, we just kind of move them over to another spot. All right, so we've got the hide off, and we've got the front quarters taken off and the loins taken off, which is loins or back straps, whatever you want to call them. The inner loins are actually in here. I'm starting to cut some meat off of this carcass here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to work my way through the bottom of here, and then I'm going to end up cutting this off, and then we'll move up here to the back quarters, which actually has most of the meat of the deer. If we come over here, we'll see the boys. They each took a front quarter, and they're starting to kind of work their way through that, taking the good meat out of there. And on the far side over there, I've got the back straps, the loins there. I'm gonna trim those up here shortly. And our plan for this deer is we're going to take what we can out of the clean loins here and package those up individually. And then we're gonna take the rest of this deer and we're gonna grind it into hamburger. Now sometimes we make shish kebab chunks. Sometimes we can. I'll do another video later in the season. We actually can some of our venison. And obviously we do the burger. So there's Megan over there on the four-wheeler. So we've got the deer completely, all the meat taken off the carcass now. Some of the meat's already packaged up, and I didn't cover this, but basically we're gonna use a regular freezer paper and put the meat on the shiny side of the freezer paper, wrap that up. And what I use is a almost like a saran wrap, but we actually use the shipping stuff where you wrap shipping container, packages and stuff. So you just wrap that up, fold it in all the way around. It gives you an airtight seal. And some of this is packaged up and in the freezer already. What I wanted to show you now is our process. We are going to go through and grind this meat twice. Mike will show you the grind head that's on here now is actually a pretty fine, I don't know the number, but pretty coarse. We're going to grind everything through with that, and then we're going to put this one on, and we're going to grind through here. When we grind through this one, we will also add the sausage stuffer, and we will grind our hamburger right directly into the bags. So let's get started with this first round here. So the first grind comes through pretty quickly. You really don't have to plunge it very much because it's pretty coarse. Sometimes my boys forget to cut pieces small enough to go through the grinder. But a lot of this, some of the pieces of fat, it doesn't bother me to leave just a little bit of fat in here. We're going to grind it twice. We're not even going to really be able to tell that there's any fat in this. This is so lean, it's probably not a bad thing to leave a little bit of fat on these pieces here. All right, so first ground goes pretty good. Got one big pan of meat here. Boys are finishing up. Got another pan of meat here, and just wanted to cover a couple things. One thing we like to do, I don't have water out in my shop, so we bring a pail of hot water, hot soapy water, so you can keep your hands warm. You can wash your knives as you go, but pretty much want to keep everything as clean as possible. So we'll get this last little bit through the first grind here, and then we'll go ahead and get the other plate put on, and we'll show you that setup.
Go.
So the way that we run this now, you can see with that finer plate on here, we end up with a real fine burger, and it doesn't have any like chewiness or anything like that to it. It's really nice. But with the sausage stuffer on here, we use these 2-pound capacity bags, and we'll just slide this over the top, kind of to the back. And you can see that I'm having Michael put these pieces together in chunks. The reason that I do that is they go down the throat of the grinder a lot easier. Whereas if I just try to pack the loose burger through here, it doesn't work very well. But all we're doing is kind of feeding these in here a little bit at a time. This part works a lot slower because you're getting that real fine grind out of there. It takes more cutting effort by the machine and a little bit more time to get all of the meat through there. But I think it's worth it just because of the quality of the grind that you get out of here. having ground it twice and having ground it on a fine setting. We fill it to where we want it, and then basically you end up with a full tube of burger, and we go to package it from there, and I'll show you that now. So for this part, we're going to use these 3/8 inch hog rings, and all it is a little metal ring. You can buy this kit at like an outdoor store or on Amazon, but there's a plier that comes with it that the ring kind of goes into there. And we're just going to take the top of our meat package and twist it up fairly tight like this. Then we're going to take this hog ring around the twisted up piece and clamp that on there. And I like to give it a couple of extra crimps just to make sure that it seals up good. But you have to be careful about, you just seen that slip out of my hand a little bit. These pliers can pinch your fingers if you're not careful. I'm sure there's different types of pliers out there. These are different ones that came with my kit. But what you end up with is a tied off top and 2 pounds of meat ready to go. And we just throw that in the freezer. Now, one piece of advice that I'll give you in putting those in the freezer, you're gonna wanna freeze them standing up, and I'll show you kind of how I have them sitting in here. You wanna freeze them standing up because there is gonna be like blood and liquid and stuff in there. If you sit those on their side, they can have a tendency to potentially leak just a little bit out of here. But it's not terrible. I just recommend freezing them upright. What we found is a packaged up meat like this. Looks like that one I didn't quite get full. But these packaged up packages like this will last for a couple years at least in the freezer without any problems, without any freezer burning or any of that stuff. So that's how we do it. All right, we got everything packaged up and cleaned up, and this is pretty much all that's left of our progress for the day. So thanks for watching this video. I appreciate your attendance, and now I think it's time to go out to our pumpkin patch and pick a few of our ripe pumpkins. So have a great day, and we will see you on the next video.